A rather entertaining topic that I see online is about the changes made in the dubs of television shows when translated into another language. Some of the most entertaining dub edits, in both a good and bad way, is why the names of certain items are changed when translated, namely food items. In anime dubs, many of these changes have occurred on shows that are marketed towards a younger audience due to fear that viewers will not understand what the food is, so instead of giving the food a name relating to the ingredients or calling it by its proper name, it's renamed as a food that it resembles, or one that it doesn't look like at all. So I want to look at some of the more strange and unnecessary renames of Japanese foods in anime dubs. Keep in mind that many of these anime have likely been shown on television, and that many of these shows may have a younger demographic due to the television station on which they were initially broadcast, but I'll try to keep a nice variety. So without any more of this pesky intro, here is the top 10 strangest renames for Japanese foods in anime dubs. Number 10. Sandwiches. Once in the Pokemon dub, onigiri were called sandwiches. Moving on. What, did you expect me to comment on how the Pokemon dub not only changed the name of onigiri to some other food, but changed that already changed name many times? As many know, 4Kids who dubbed the Pokemon anime were really afraid that kids would not know what onigiri were, so they changed the name of them. And never too consistent one, despite the fact that onigiri looked the same every time they appeared in the anime. This instance, they were called sandwiches, and I believe this was later in the series according to the episode's title card, so I guess 4Kids was just running out of new names to call onigiri on what it vaguely looked like, so they just decided to pick a generic picnic food for this episode. I mean, before this, they've called it a cookie, an onion, some other foods that may or may not be seen later in this video. Ooh, foreshadowing. Number 9 is tea. The censored drink in question is sake, which is a Japanese rice wine, and yeah, I said renames for Japanese foods and this is a drink, but I didn't want this list filled with names the 4Kids Pokemon dub gave to onigiri. Now this one is minor, probably not even worth mentioning, and is understandable considering it involves characters getting drunk on a show that is broadcast on a kid-friendly channel during kid-friendly hours. No, the anime in question is not Pokemon for this one, it is Tenchi Muyo, a show I haven't seen in a long time, and looking back, there was a lot to censor on this show. While I understand why sake was changed to tea, the characters still got noticeably drunk after drinking said tea. So all the change did was make this tea alcoholic. Luckily for fans of the show, it was just changed so it could be shown at 5 p.m. on Cartoon Network and remain sake in the uncut dub, making this change quite minor and insignificant in the long run. But people love nitpicks and that's why I bothered with this. Number 8 is the marshmallow. Here we have a Japanese grape called Budo, renamed as a marshmallow. Budo is basically the same as any other type of grape except it has a very thick skin, which means it needs to be peeled before consumption, as opposed to other grapes found around the world that you can just eat right off the vine like Cleopatra. This change is brought to us from the Dragon Ball dub. There is a catch to this change, however, which is the Budo in question is never actually seen, making this just a dialogue change rather than retconning the existence of a food entirely based solely on its appearance. In this scene, Goku compares the head of his friend Krillin to Budo in the original and a marshmallow in the dub, which doesn't make that much sense since grapes are round like his head and marshmallows are cylindrical, not like his head. Also, at this point in the series, Goku really just lived in the woods, so how does he even know about marshmallows? Grapes, I understand, those grow in the wild, but marshmallows? I've never seen a marshmallow tree. Number 7 is churros. This one comes from one of the most bizarre shows I've ever seen, Bobobo-bo. The food name changed is chikua, which is a fish tube food thing. I've never tasted one before, but knowing me, I'd probably want the sugared cinnamon stick over that fishy tube thing. So this edit makes sense because it made the food better. No, I can't say that. Then I'd be a hypocrite for questioning other dubs. They're two different things. The churro looks good. Number 6, pistachio ice cream. Yet another entry from the insanity that is Bobobo-bo. This one involves a character that actually is the food. What is this show even? This is Ujikin Tokyo, or Not Nice Cream in the English dub. In Japanese, his name is a pun on the food that he is, Ujikin Tokyo, which is basically a shaved ice product with green tea syrup and these sweet beans. The dub gave him an equally punny name, and made him pistachio ice cream, likely because he was a green ice-based treat. I'm not sure if the dubbers didn't want kids to get confused or if they were just trying to make the dub more absurd. I wouldn't put it against them. And why pistachio ice cream? Is it because pistachio is the only green ice cream? Does anybody even like pistachio ice cream, or do they just eat it when they want a green ice cream treat? I used to eat it, but that's because I was 7 and green was my favorite color, and that's the only reason. It just goes to show you that pistachio ice cream's only true purpose is to be the only green ice cream. Wait, I take that back. Mint chocolate chip, much better, and it's green. Pistachio ice cream, you stand no chance against the might that is mint chocolate chip. Wait, aren't I making a list on anime or something? Number 5, muffins. This one comes from our friends at the Sailor Moon dub. What were called muffins in this case? Onigiri, of course. Not every mistranslation of onigiri comes from Pokemon. In fact, this dub came before Pokemon, so I guess hipster Sailor Moon renamed things before it was cool. Sorry to tell y'all, sometimes reality really stinks. Why muffins though? Don't muffins need a top and a bottom? I guess if these are muffins, they're just really triangular tops. They could be onto something. Maybe onigiri looks like a muffin if you just... or if you... well, what if you put it... nah, it doesn't look like a muffin. Even if the dub does claim they quote-unquote have little chocolate chips. Could any of these foods even pass off as pastries? I can't even identify what some of these foods are.
They're octopi!
Didn't the English dub have like a PSA at the end of each episode? Why didn't they just use that to teach kids about foods in other cultures? I mean, it could have got something like, "Today on Sailor Moon, I lent Serena one of my muffins, but they're actually a Japanese food called onigiri. Did you know cultures have foods not seen in other cultures? Try them sometime. Sailor Moon says, hee." Number 4, popcorn balls. Because when I think of foods that everyone would see commonly, I think of the greatest delicacy known as the popcorn ball. Once again, this was a rename for onigiri in the Pokemon dub. They got real creative with this one, thinking that popcorn clumped together in a ball looks like rice clumped together in a, well, not exactly a ball, like a triangular sort of shape. Also, Brock, those are not popcorn balls, those look like those, you know, never mind. Number 3 is corn dogs, and, wait for it, mashed potatoes. Yeah, this one actually comes from the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, not the original anime that you're thinking of. It's the spin-off one, GX. Sorry for getting your hopes up. So what could corn dogs and mashed potatoes possibly have been in the original? The answer is fried shrimp and rice. Now this raises a few mostly facetious questions from me. First off, aren't fried shrimp and rice two rather well-known foods to all age groups? I mean, I knew what they were at a young age, and the names are not difficult to pronounce, so I don't think it was a voice actor issue. Second, if they're corn dogs, why do they have shrimp tails? Third, who eats mashed potatoes with chopsticks? And finally, how do corn dogs and mashed potatoes even go together as a main course and side dish? French fries and corn dogs? Understandable, but mashed potatoes don't seem like they'd complement the palate very much. I even searched up corn dogs and mashed potatoes online and found only one recipe that put that food duo together. I'm no chef, but I'm pretty sure that just proved everything. It didn't. Number 2, a bag of hamburgers. Not every dub on this list is from an English dub. This one actually comes from the German dub of Sailor Moon. The hamburgers were originally dumplings. With everything until now, I've at least seen a vague resemblance on what the food was being renamed to. But here, I don't really get it. Are the dumplings supposed to represent wrapped hamburgers? Because if so, I don't think it's a good idea to eat through the paper like that. However, if they are wrapped hamburgers, I think it's also unnecessary to have paper under the paper. If I'm wrong about that, then I guess it's just a weird-looking bun. Unless it's one of those New Age hamburgers wrapped in a tortilla. Then I could believe that. But I'd also be overanalyzing far beyond what needs to be observed. Also, by bag of hamburgers, are we talking about small hamburgers like sliders or like large ones? Because I think I get sick if I ate too many large ones. Well, at least a real hamburger never appeared in the Sailor Moon universe, or else this dub would have some explaining to do. Unless they did appear. So for number 1, anyone familiar with the topic probably knows what this should be. The famous name edit for onigiri that started it all, donuts. Mainly jelly donuts, based on one scene of Brock saying in Pokemon, "These donuts are great! Jelly-filled are my favorite! Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut!" Except lots of things beat a jelly-filled donut, Brock. If we're just talking about donuts, I don't know, probably chocolate, maybe a Boston cream. This scene is rather infamous, since Brock really pushed that this food product is a jelly donut. Pokemon, though, was not the first to do this. In fact, in the Sailor Moon dub, in the same dumpling scene, they were also called donuts, but it seemed less forced, and it's really not as funny as the donut scene in Pokemon. Compared to other foods I've spoken about on this list, This one isn't as strange, considering the dubbers likely saw the filling for onigiri and thought it looked enough like jelly, and us naive children probably thought the rice was powder. However, still, considering that, I felt that this needed to be number one, since I can't pass up on the scene that is arguably the most known food-based change in a dub, despite the fact I like to be unconventional with my number ones. Really, it's the fact that the next time these donuts were seen in the dub, they were given a more proper name, rice balls. What do you think of that?
That's cute.
What are we saying is cute?
Everything. The Togepi, the Pikachu, the fact they're eating, Misty and Ash sing together, Togepi again.
Anyway, that's all I have for this. So, what dubheads did you find strange or hilarious? It can be food or anything else, and it doesn't just have to be anime. Let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you viewers next time. Here's a snippet of the conversation that led me to do that Sailor Moon joke PSA. Sorry for the horrible mic quality. Okay, so I want you to do something like the Sailor Moon PSAs that were at the end of the old English dub.
What do you want me to say?
Something like, today on Sailor Moon, I offered Serena my muffins, but they were actually onigiri. Did you know other cultures have different foods that aren't present in America? Try them sometimes. Do something like that.
I think you should just do it.
Why, was that a good sailor voice?
Yeah, I liked it.
You liked it?
What are your best?
What is it? Mercury bubbles!
You should just do that all the time.
Mercury bubbles?
Mercury bubbles.
Was it like Mercury bubbles blast, or is it just Mercury bubbles?
I think it's just Mercury bubbles.
Just Mercury.